it's Shay Stanley from Little Steps Asia, and today we are here with North London Collegiate School on the topic of navigating the senior years and the sixth form. This is in a series with North London Collegiate School, Singapore, and we will be chatting with two experts in this area. So join on and let's go. Guests. Hello, Himani, and hello, Chris.
Hello. Hi,
thanks for joining us today. You've both got a history of education and guidance. So I think it's always great to just hear from you in terms of how you landed in this position and just a little bit about yourself. Maybe Chris, you could start us off.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us. So I'm Chris Stump and my role at NLCS Singapore is I'm the head of sixth form. So in part of this role, which is an assistant principal role, I'm responsible for the pastoral care of the students in the senior years at NLCS. So what we call grade 11, grade 12, or year 12, year 13, if you're in the sort of UK context. And so my job is really supporting students academically, pastorally, with the latter stages of their education with us. And it's a role that I've done in other schools, both in London and also internationally before. And what I love about it is really sort of supporting students in those sort of final stages of school, on the cusp of adulthood, as I like to call it. So yeah, that's why I do what I do.
It's a rewarding position, I'm sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
Himani, tell us about yourself.
Hi, thank you, Shay, for having me part of this webinar series. I have been in this role at NLCS London, the NLCS International in Singapore for the past 3 years now, and I'm the head of university and careers guidance. My journey is a bit different. I started as a molecular biologist. I'm a scientist. I worked in research back in the US and I had to work in a pharmaceutical company. And then I taught at college level. And when I moved to Singapore, I used to head the School of Life Sciences at a private college here. And I was involved in teaching undergraduate as well as master's students. And I taught genetics, biochemistry, and epidemiology. And at that point, I was very involved in academic counseling also. And that's when I found my calling that, okay, this is really rewarding. I'm making a difference. And I'm actually telling them about further education, higher education, where you could travel, you could go overseas and actually make a difference. So about less than a decade ago, I moved completely into college counseling, career counseling, and this is my third international school here. And I absolutely love it. And building the program, reaching out, connecting with parents, and actually making that difference to the students decide what careers and future pathways that they can look into is truly rewarding. So yes, I do love what I do.
Excellent. Well, it's great to have you. And we've got a lot to cover today. I think when we talk about secondary school, there's the grades, there's the fears that a lot of families have around that, but then there's the exciting side. And I think it's great to have that pastoral environment, the mentorship, the community. We're going to talk about all those things and particularly about how both of you embrace it, but also the school's ethos as well. So let's get started. For those that are joining us, just a few reminders. We are going to dive straight into this chat, but we are live and you can also watch this video after we are live. So feel free to reach out, ask questions. We're also going to bring in a link that you can contact North London Collegiate School in Singapore directly. They've got open days and a lot of other things that you can get involved in to learn more. So let's get going. So I always like to start this chat just to give families, give parents, give students a feel for the school. We've talked about the junior school, but the secondary school, in particular, the sixth form. Maybe just give us a day in the life. You're a student, you're entering the campus. Maybe, Chris, you could tell us about what that looks like.
I mean, wonderfully, there is no typical day at NLCS. If I talk about an overview of our week and how sort of jam-packed it is, essentially our week starts with assemblies in the senior school. So we start on a Monday, we all come together as a school community for an assembly, which is often really inspiring about sort of the different activities going on in the week. Part of the assembly is led by our student leaders who are, the big six, we call them. There are sixth form students who lead different areas of school life. And there's often a sort of key message to the assembly, often relating to an academic week or an activity week that's going on in the school. And then, invariably the students, that's morning to their teachers, they're off to lessons. And I would say one of the benefits in our sixth form, what's really nice is, those relationships that we get to see develop between staff and students. We're blessed to have really small classes in the sixth form. So we offer a range of IB subjects, which sort of cater to the different interests of the students. And in those sort of small group settings, really get to know their teachers and students really get to know their teachers, and our teachers really get to know their students. So we have these sort of fantastic academic relationships working, and lots of questioning, lots of opportunity for discussion and sort of clarifying ideas and taking things further. Alongside that, we have in the sixth form, we have some fantastic study spaces. So in our sixth form, alongside their DP studies, our sixth form students will get some independent study time as well, to kind of work with peers in our dedicated study room or work independently. And at points in the week, as well as those academic lessons, there's also chance for extracurricular or co-curricular opportunities and academic enrichment. If I were to list all of the things on offer, we would probably be here until the end of the academic year, so it's probably best not to. But I would say there is no typical day at NLCS. The day, I would say, fizzles with excitement. We're a really busy school. We have such enthusiastic students. There's always something going on, and so much of it is led by them. So I think that's one of the real benefits of our academic day.
Excellent. And obviously, there's a lot of secondary school choices in Singapore in particular. Why do you feel that students and families choose North London Collegiate School for those last 2 critical years?
I think what we offer is we are an unashamedly ambitious school for our students. And I think our sort of goal and our mission is to know every student, to care about every student, and support them to achieving what they want. So Himani will talk about her role in that because it's such an important part. But I think what we allow students and families is that sense to be ambitious. We give them the support, advice, and the courses they need to really sort of access those careers or universities that they are really interested in or passionate about. And there are so many opportunities to explore their passions in this school. I think that is something that, in other schools I've worked in, we've always aimed to do, but I see that we are doing that at NLCS and we are living up to it.
Excellent. Well, I do want to dive a bit more into the passion side, because I know that is a very important aspect of North London Collegiate School in Singapore. So maybe if you could just expand on that, because obviously grades are important, as we talked about. In Asia, there's a lot of hoopla on the grades. They're important. We know that.
Of course.
But let's talk about the passions. Let's talk about the interests of the students, because that's forever. That's the lifelong learning side of it. So maybe you could expand a little bit more on how the school treats passions and interests and encourages students to stay with those.
Absolutely. So I would say it starts in the lower school. It starts in the junior school. So essentially what happens is students are exposed to a broad range of subjects, academic subjects, as well as all the extra and co-curricular offer. And then essentially what happens as we get older, or as the students go through the school, is we taper into their 6 IBDP choices. So their 3 high levels, their 3 standard levels. And then we sort of help them refine down what it is they're sort of interested in pursuing beyond school. Now, obviously that happens as part of the everyday academic curriculum and the sort of, passionate teachers we have in front of the students. But also we allow students to explore their passions through a program of academic enrichment. So this is every week for students in the senior school. And essentially what happens is they experience a kind of ever-rotating carousel of opportunities that they opt into. So there's opportunities to learn a brand new subject or to refine their knowledge in a subject and take it beyond the curriculum. Some of the sessions, in fact, a lot of the sessions are run by students. So, we had students who led a kind of a 3-week program on forensic psychology. Another student led a kind of, psychobiological investigation into dreams. I myself, I'm a sociologist. I'm currently running a 3-week program on the sociology of crime and looking at crime rates around the world.
Wow.
And it's really interesting because what we see is, we have students who have got a very clear sense of what they want to go on to beyond school. And that's been nurtured and fired by our staff in school. But also we're allowing them the chance to pursue new things, to kind of geek out, if you will, on their own interests and share that with others. And what we find is that that's really effective in students feeling confident that the courses they're going to go on to beyond school or the universities they choose are a perfect fit for them. That's how we do it in school, as well as all the things that happen beyond the school day. It's fantastic that we make time for it within our school day of between, 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. So that's what I think is a real sort of standout of our school.
Excellent. And I want to dive in. I know, Himani, you've got a lot of experience with the schools themselves and what they're looking for, whether you're going to the British education route or the American or others around the world. Could you just give us a little bit more insight of what universities are looking for beyond the grades?
Absolutely. So I think I'll start with what we do is here at the University and Careers Guidance Department, give an overview of what we do and how that translates into making confident applications and preparing students really well. So we don't have a typical day here at NLCS, but what we do at University and Careers Guidance Program, we have a very robust program starting from grade 9 onwards, where we help students with career explorations, subject choices. We have one-to-one meetings all the way from grade 9 to grade 12, where we are really helping them narrow down their choices, their subject choices, which universities they're looking at, and that we do through information sessions where we have specialist speakers, university reps, specialized subject professionals coming in. We make sure the students are taken to university fairs. We have hosted university fairs on our campus ourselves here, where students have had that opportunity to meet with the university reps and interact directly. We also interact with the parents quite a bit, and we have them come in during mornings. We have coffee mornings that sort of really helps ease sort of the anxieties and the stress that the families may be feeling, so that as a family, they are well informed and they can make thoughtful decisions. Now, universities definitely are looking beyond grades. The universities are looking at students' genuine passion in that subject. And I think that's more important. They're looking more towards reflection, authenticity, matured applications where the profiles are not manufactured. We are not just ticking boxes of activities that have been done. And at this point, definitely relying on fewer activities, showing long-term commitment, resilience, showing skills, which really are transferable to that subject passion. I think obviously weigh a lot more than doing many activities, but doing them superficially. So we always tell the students, focus, understand what your actual subject passion is, dive deeper into it, do activities that you absolutely love, which will give you the skills, which will prepare you for that subject, for a career further down the road, so that your experience in college is an enriching one and that you can really embrace it with passion and make the most of it, because that's just going to be the starting point of your a student's career.
Excellent. Well, there's 3 students that come to mind, and I'd like to just get your insight on this. So the first student is the one that has been doing a specific sport or a specific passion all the way through, and they've kind of got that CV ready to go. They've got the passion. They've followed it all the way through. You've got a second student who maybe is a little bit less academic, that they are really into music or really into something specific. So they've got kind of a different path that they're looking at there. And then you've got a third student who has been kind of flipping and flopping. They haven't quite found, they stick to a sport over there and then they switch over there, and, it hasn't had a specific passion per se. Could you just take us through those 3 different students? Maybe the first one is quite straightforward, but the other
Right.
2, how do you address that?
Right. I think it's also important to understand where they're heading towards, because different countries have different requirements. If you're applying to the US, it's very holistic. They will take into account what extracurricular activities that you've done, what sports you're playing, maybe what leadership roles you have, and also the academics, of course. But if you're applying to the UK, it does become important to focus on the academics. So, and we will have those conversations when you're meeting with the families and we're meeting with the students. I think it's very important to also gauge which country they're heading towards because of the requirements. And obviously the UK will focus on more supercurricular activities, what you've done towards that subject passion that you're showing. For the ones who's not sure, not decided quite yet, has yet to find their subject passion, that's when we have many more meetings trying to figure out what they will actually like. Maybe they don't realize their passion quite yet, but there might be a couple of subjects that they like, maybe with process of elimination, what they don't want to do. Maybe that's a way to get started and then realize which ones they really want to, and which could be opening up doors to a couple of subject areas which they might want to pursue later on. I think understanding that would be very important. We do personality tests. We'll tell them take some quizzes. We start quite early. So by the time they come to grade 11 and 12, they at least are aligned and they know that which area they're heading towards, which becomes a lot easier to guide them. We do at that point do tell them that what are the possible careers they could have in the two subjects that they're looking at. And maybe that's the time we can try and gauge that students have interest in one particular subject more than the other. And that helps guide them in proceeding to the further advice that how they can apply and which country they can look into. So I think those personalized one-to-one meetings that we start from grade 9 really help us eliminate a lot of those decisions that they were not able to make probably early if we started too late. So starting early, I think that's key. We start early so that when it comes to making that decision, we do not have any student who is still figuring out what to do. And if we still do have, then we do provide that support. We give them all the information. It's just furnishing them with all of the information. This is what you can do in this country if you go. If you really like a sport and that's what you want to pursue, then maybe that's the route you can take. And you can still continue playing that sport, but you can look into subjects which may be related to that. So I think that personalized guidance and understanding what the family requirements are, I think really helps, and understanding what the student really wants to do, whether it's just a hobby or that's something they want to pursue as a career. I think that becomes important because we do have students who love a sport, who love a music, but have nothing to do with that. For example, I had a student who really enjoys music and I thought she was going to pursue music, but she's applied for computer science because that's also a passion of hers. And she said, but I'm equally passionate about music. And that's when we started discussing maybe going to the United States where you could have a major, you could still do engineering or computer science, but you could take up a minor in music. You could still continue doing what you really want to do. And that could be an option too. And I do give an example of my own nephew who did engineering and a minor in music. And, it plays for a rock band right now. So I think there are those understanding what they're looking at, where they see themselves 5 years from now, what the family wants 5 years from now, where they're heading towards, which countries they're looking at, I think does open up a lot of avenue. And that sort of tailors the advice and guidance that we can provide to each student.
Excellent. And, we are so lucky. The international schools provide such great support and international options. I grew up in the U.S. and that was just not is different. So it's a really interesting opportunity that they have. So I do want to dive into the parents. I'm a parent myself. I know we get in the way sometimes, and I know we're helpful sometimes. So I guess what my question is how or what advice would you give to parents to help them guide their students, their kids, on this journey without getting in the way?
Right. Very good question. I think we always tell our parents, and every parent that I meet one-on-one, when we do our coffee mornings and we're interacting with parents, when we do these information sessions, we tell and we advise the parents that it is your student's own journey and it's not your personal project. It's extremely important to give your child that ownership, put them behind the steering wheel and let them steer it to their direction. In fact, one of my previous conversations with the parent was when the parent was really insisting that I really want my child to get into Harvard because I couldn't get into, and that's my dream that I really want my child to fulfill. And that's when I told that parent that do not make your children a conduit of fulfilling your unfulfilled dreams. So I think that's managing expectations and making sure that parents do feel, and parents, I do understand, I'm a parent myself, there are a certain amount of anxieties and we just want to help, but we don't realize that when we cross the line of over-directing and overbearing, and I think it's what parents want to hear. They want to feel reassured that their child is receiving the support that they have planned for. They will make the right decision and the child will go into a university which would be the right fit. So I think we do encourage the parents to support by asking leading questions, by making sure the routine's stable, by managing their stress at home, by also managing the expectations and not putting their expectations on the child, because that can often lead to lack of motivation and increased anxiety in a sixth former, especially when they're dealing with a rigorous IB program amidst their university applications going on. So I think we do have to provide that reassurance to the parents that we are there. We are providing comprehensive guidance to our students, and we are managing it. All you need to do is support and be there and not get overbearing. It's the student's journey. Let them have that ownership. Let them own the process. But you can be there as a supporting role by providing that complete holistic support as a parent so that the child feels motivated and continues to produce good work and put in the hard work, and which would receive great outcomes.
All right, parents, we heard it. We've got to step back. The students in the background going, yes, yes.
I'm sure.
I do want to dive into the pressure a bit. And Chris, I know you've got a lot of experience in this, but it is a highly stressful time for students. It's also a time, sixth form. It's just, you feel like it's make it or break it time. So I just wanted to dive into how your approach is towards this pressure, and how you help families and students kind of navigate it.
Absolutely. And I'm really like that you mentioned that as well about sort of helping families too, because we do see that as part of our responsibility. We know that when parents and families choose us, they're endowing us with a lot of trust, and we are a very open and communicative school. We like having parents in the school, and that's something that we really try and sort of nurture and facilitate. And parents don't have to wait for a coffee morning or a parent-teacher conference to kind of book time with either myself or Himani or another member of staff in the school. That's really important to us. And I think Himani touched on it. It's that sense of, in managing pressure, it's about, I would say, establishing good routines, healthy routines. And these can be everything from sort of sleep and nutrition and when they're studying and when they're getting to bed. Or it can be something a little more gentle in terms of, thinking about their weekend plans and not giving them time and space to do their own thing as well with their friends, and not being sort of, overbearing or overburdening them. I think this is the important thing to do. And we can play a role in that in school, in discussing it with parents, because we recognize it's really difficult. I mean, this is something I'm guilty of myself. I mean, my wife and I were talking the other day about when our son goes to Cambridge, and, he's 3. He doesn't even know he's going to Cambridge yet, but I have to sort of remind yourself of the language you're using with your children, and we all have to do it. And I would say something that's really important is that there's a really good quote that always sticks in my mind. It's not the actual quote, but Anna Freud, a very famous child psychotherapist, Sigmund Freud's daughter, essentially said that nothing is more challenging than a parent sort of navigating adolescence with their children. And so we recognize that in school, and we are, it takes a village to raise a child. We are the villagers that will help, and it's really important to us that parents know they can sort of come into the school to contact us, use us as a sounding board. And in working with students, a lot of what we do is about sort of, managing expectations, ensuring that, what they're aiming for is kind of achievable in a healthy way, and not kind of sort of overemphasizing you need to get 45 points in the IBDP to get into a top university. You really don't. Lots of our students do exceptionally well, but a lot of them are really, really focused on ensuring that they are getting scores that get them into the universities that are right for them and are the right fit. So we don't take a one-size-fits-all approach at NLCS. We focus on the needs of the individual, and their academic needs, their emotional needs, and recognize that they're all at different points in the journey. And our job is to be adaptable and responsive to what they need.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, let's, you've talked about the parents and the families in particular. So that's a perfect segue into the community side of everything, because obviously students don't do it alone. They don't. They need peers, they need teachers, they need mentors, they need support from a 360 angle. So I just wanted to kind of understand a little bit more about the community. You've mentioned it a few times, but maybe just give us a little more insight in terms of the community at North London Collegiate School in Singapore and how it supports the families in the sixth form particularly.
Wonderful. So as well as all the kind of fantastic events we have, Singapore is a kind of proudly multicultural society. So we have school events that reflect our community and its makeup. So, these might tally with sort of cultural events that are happening in the country, Chinese New Year, for example, which we've just had in Singapore. And also recognizing, at the moment we're in the midst of Ramadan, and we've got students and we're holding an iftar for the kind of parents and the wider community. So I think we kind of, through having this sort of open door policy in the school and inviting parents in, we show them that this is a place where, they belong, and that students know that they belong here as well. And we do that, through the very design of the building. There's lots of social space. There's like a wonderful cafe as soon as it's the first thing you see when you walk through the gates of the school. You see the fantastic cafe and the sort of lobby area and the amphitheatre, and it's right above the library, and there's all these kind of wonderful light social spaces for students. So in the very fabric of our building, we sort of have taken care of that. And then it's with who's in front of them. So, I feel very proud to work at NLCS, mainly because I really like that I get to come to school every day and work with really intelligent, bright and curious students, but also lots of really kind of creative and clever colleagues. So I'm surrounded by very smart people all day, and it's really stimulating and inspiring. And I think that sort of is what our students feed off, having these sort of really kind of close relationships with their teachers, sort of developing that. And within the school, what's great is, we will have students who talk to teachers about personal issues, talk to them about their academic desires and what they want to go on to. And it's not always the teachers that teach them. It might just be a teacher they've had for a cover lesson or for a seminar, or a teacher that's their form tutor. So I think we really do encourage that kind of close, open communication between staff and students. We don't see it as a kind of us and them hierarchy. We're all NLCS, and that's really important. And I think in terms of broader community as well, we encourage students to kind of seek that for themselves, be it through using their social contacts and building their social capital through taking part in volunteering activities, whether it's part of their CAS program or not just doing it for the sake of their program, but also for the good of other people. So I think what's really important to us is that they kind of build that network, and the benefits that have is, opportunities, doors, guidance, but knowledge is also really helpful, but also sometimes being a sounding board and giving a reality check. I think that's what we are. We're building people. We're not sort of manufacturing individuals. We're shaping and building people. That's really important to us.
We need more people, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess one of my last questions is about, we've talked a lot about preparing for university or what's happening after secondary school, but what about beyond that? I mean, obviously the end goal is not just university, it's going beyond that. And I like that lifelong learner kind of approach as well that the school has. But yeah, I guess, how do you see the bigger picture? Himani, maybe you want to take that one?
Yes. Thank you, Shay. I think I would say we always tell our community, our parents, our students, that university is not a destination. It's just a beginning, right? And this is just the beginning of a whole lifetime of a career ahead. It's less about achievement. It's more about alignment. So it's also focusing on fit and readiness and not focusing so much on prestige or brand. I think that should be more important, because it's important for families to understand where the child's strengths lie. And when I say fit, I'm not only meaning subject fit, the career fit, it's also the location where they're going, whether it's a small university, a big university, or whether you're just chasing a brand, because we have a lot of stories. Yes, we do have a lot of success stories, but we also have a lot of stories which we don't talk about, where the student has gone because of chased a brand, have gone there, but have been totally unhappy because they didn't think they were a right fit as an individual. And that's got to do with their personal development. It was probably a great place to be in for the subject, for a career beyond university. It was just not a right fit for the student, and they were completely unhappy. So we do want our students to have an enriching experience. We do emphasize a lot about the right fit place, right fit college. So families to understand that, focus on that, where you feel your child will actually go and grow as an individual, not just as a professional. But it's important that personal development, personal growth is having a big impact on who you will be in your life. So I think stressing on a right fit, your personal development and readiness for a program and for a location is absolutely paramount. And here at NLCS Singapore, the comprehensive guidance that we provide, we do a lot of career exploration, reflective goal settings with the students. When they are making those choices, even if it's to the prestigious schools, they have realized that it is a right fit for them, and they will be happy when they are in that journey, because we do not want any student going in and telling us that we've not had a happy experience and this has been a wrong choice. So at NLCS, we can proudly say that every time we have sent a child, or a child's outcome has been to a prestigious university or a branded university, if I may use that word, has been a right fit for them. So because we continue to emphasize that, not to chase a prestigious name, but to chase something that would be a right fit, where you will flourish, where you will thrive, and you will come out of it with an enriching experience, an amazing learning journey that you can be happy about and talk to your children and your generations to come and be proud of that. So we are quite proud for the guidance that we provide. And I agree with Chris that, you do feel motivated, that you come and you're doing this amazing job. You are surrounded with highly intelligent children and the families who are very well informed, and we make sure that they are approaching universities with that in mind, that it is going to be a right fit career for them and a right fit choice for them moving forward.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Well, we have covered a lot of areas focused on the secondary school and the sixth form and prepping for university and the value of wellness and, the pastoral care that is important, community. We've covered a lot of areas that kind of create that whole journey. I just wanted to ask both of you if there are some final notes that you would want to share on that topic, something that we've missed or something you'd like to share.
It's a good question. I think what is really worth emphasizing is that NLCS is a place of belonging and balance. So we want students to kind of feel like they are part of something bigger than themselves, and to kind of develop those skills of academic and personal skills needed to thrive. So I would say that NLCS education is not a means to an end. It's about building something that lasts and sustains and evolves. And I think that's what's really kind of refreshing about working at this school, is that the students get to have so much input in that, and it is a school that is made for them.
And I think I'll echo Chris here by saying that our students also feel proud to be a part of the NLCS family. And I think we are proud to provide an education where we are able to make that lifetime impact, that our students can go back, after leaving the school and also feel we're proud to be an NLCSI graduate. So, and we've graduated from NLCS Singapore. Remember that and take that forward. So I think we are really proud of the support that we provide to our students. I do feel the time and effort that we do put in, the personalized guidance that we do provide to our students, and that's unparalleled, and we're very proud of that. We really have a very deep community sense where we know the families, know the students really well, and we are confident of the support and the guidance that we provide, that it is going to be best suited for them and that they can have an enriching experience thereafter.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. I've got one final question. I like to ask it at the end of the chat. But basically, the question is, you're educators. You've been at different schools, different experiences. How would you describe the best school in 1 to 3 words? What are the 1 to 3 words that you would say represent a great school?
Great question. Always students first. A school that puts its students first at the heart of its academic program, its pastoral program, putting students first.
Yeah, and I totally agree too, putting students first. We also believe in floors, not ceilings. We make sure that our students can achieve those dreams that they are dreaming of, and we will be there. We'll provide the support and guidance and provide them that whole holistic support so that they can achieve those dreams and go out and fly in the real world.
Excellent. Well, I see you guys as a great team on helping those students and those families navigate. So appreciate all your insights and tips. There's a lot of sharing that has gone on today. But for those that are just joining or maybe perhaps watching the video after it's aired, please feel free to reach out. We've got Chris, we've got Himani. They can continue answering questions for you, and you can reach out to the school directly. So Chris and Himani, it's been a real pleasure to learn all about the senior years, the sixth form, and how North London Collegiate School in Singapore has helped students and continues to help students and families. So thank you for sharing. And for everybody else, we'll see you on the next video in this series with North London Collegiate School Singapore. See you next time.